So I am back home and I have a lot to say, and I'm calmer today. I was very uncalm yesterday. I actually did a video, but I prevented myself from uploading it. I have had kind of a hell of a crazy week, I guess you'd say, even though it's really only been the last few days that are crazy. And what do I mean by crazy? You just can't even believe what has happened here. I guess you're seeing I've got stuff going on. You should see my hands. They're kind of like ground beef. They're starting to heal up a little bit. I have to talk about ADA accommodations. I have to talk about crazy folks. I have to talk about things happening in our communities. Just some different random weird things. Okay, so I guess I need to introduce myself. You have to put up with me. I am definitely having narcotic-related goofiness. But trip back to the States was really good, actually, until it wasn't. And when that was when all the smoke moved into the Washington, D.C. area, and I was spent the rest of that time sitting on the sofa, and I tripped over the dog and hurt one of my knees. So I spent like 4 days with an ice pack sitting on the sofa. So hello. So I'm on my iPad because I can't get my stupid computer to do a live stream any longer. So here we are. And I bought a camera in the States, and I'm going to use that sucker. I'm going to start using it. So I'm really excited about that. I wanted to announce that. Okay, so I have a couple weird things to talk about. I had airplane conditions and hijinks, which is why I have an ace bandage on one knee, an ace bandage on an elbow, and I have knee support on my knee, and I've got assorted weird-ass Band-Aids everywhere. I flew a budget airline for the first time. It was the first time I'd ever flown this airline before. The ticket was cheap. I sat in first class. It was awesome right up until it wasn't awesome. One of the things that if you have ADA accommodations and you're flying, you can put down, hey, you require this, you require that, and they're supposed to abide by it, or else say, no, we're not set up for that. If it's within reason, they're supposed to be able to try and help you out here. One of the things that I bought that was really awesome in the States is I got a rollator. Because after the thalamic stroke, I can't hardly balance. There's some things that are harder than others, as you're about to hear. So I bought this rollator, and I'm zipping through the Atlanta airport. I was thrilled because I was able to walk that mile between gates, and I was fine with it. I was getting out shopping. I was doing my thing. I was happy. Nobody was having to push me around in a wheelchair like a sack of potatoes any longer. No, it wasn't Spirit. I've flown Spirit before. It was not Spirit. Spirit does not come to Liberia. It's one of the ones that comes to Liberia. And I don't want to say which one it is because I'm likely about to sue them. And I've already filed an ADA accommodations complaint. We'll see what happens. One of the things it says on mine is I can't do steps or stairs. With the balance, it's extremely, extremely difficult because you're going up or down stairs, and if your balance is really bad, I don't care how you're hanging on the rail on a cane or whatever assistive device, you're going to go down you're going to go down hard. So I may well be doing it. That's why I'm not mentioning the airline. So what happened was we got all the way to Liberia, and it was announced that there were no gates available, so they were going to take us off on a rickety set of metal stairs. Coming off the plane on this metal stairs. Now, it says right on my ticket for my ADA accommodations that I can't do stairs or steps. It says it right on there. I don't need a wheelchair. I just need them to check my rollator and bring it out between flights and at the end of the flight. So I'm looking at this, and I'm trying to talk to the flight attendants and say, hey, I can't do that. I can't go down those steps. And they said, you either have to go down those stairs, you're going to have to buy a ticket online to take this flight back. I was pretty shocked, and they said, don't worry about it, we'll help you now. Well, here's the thing, if you have balance issues, having somebody tugging on you makes it 10 times worse It makes it harder to maintain your balance. So I am not a big fan of people saying they're going to help me, okay? So I start down, I'm freaking out, I'm crying. It was just very traumatic, just being forced to take this, and I just knew I was going to fall, and sure enough, I did. I don't care who was tugging on me and carried my bags or whatever. I fell. I fell several times on the staircase. But I wasn't injured, okay? Let me throw that out. No injuries beyond my pride. So I got down to the end. I got down, I got off. They were tugging on me, trying to make me sit in a wheelchair. And I was like, no! I was pointing to my rollator saying, look, let me have my rollator and I will be fine. Please stop tugging on me. And they kept tugging. I put my bags in my rollator, started to walk off. They're tugging, tugging, tugging. Can you guess what happened? I went rear end over a tea kettle. Fell down. But here's where it gets bad. I got this. I've got some stitches in my hairline. I tore my earlobe somehow. I turned my hands into kind of raw meat in a couple places from falling. And I really messed up both of my knees. Both of them are bad. I have to now go get CT scans. I don't know what's going on for sure. But it's likely I've got a popped ACL in one, and I probably have torn meniscus in the other, they're saying. So I've got to go have this taken care of. So that's what I'm dealing with. And I wasn't on yesterday because I was shaking like this all day, humming, and I was dealing with crap here. The airline lost 2 of my 3 bags. One of them has turned up and they said it's going to be on the flight Friday. The other one, no one seems to know. And that's the one that worries me because I had all the expensive crap I bought that I need for here in that particular bag. I had a $300 accessory kit for my new camera. I had, yeah, oh, thank you. I had a sweater I was working on that I put well more than $100 in yarn into. I had a pillow top mattress pad. I had a brand new screen for my iPad because it's all cracked to hell and back. And other stuff. So I'm writing a list right now. There's been no evidence that this bag even exists except that I have a tag showing that it does. So that's the other thing I'm dealing with. I've got to tell you guys a funny story about the flight. You get a kick out of this. It sucks that it happened, but yeah, I'm fine. I'm going to be fine once all this heals. Also, drama with the house sitter. I have had some problems with her while I was out of town. Stupid stuff like finding out that from the pool guys, like, oh my goodness, there's these cell phones, but we don't know what they're doing here. And the TV's on in the house. That happened right away, so I texted the house sitter and said, hey, what the hell is going on? Why are there cell phones abandoned by the pool? Why is the TV on? Well, it turns out that she left her cell phones. And she said she had she had seen Stinky, who's right here. Let me move this a little bit so you can see this bad boy. She said that Stinky had stepped on the remote and turned the TV on, and she thought maybe that I used to let Stinky watch TV by himself when I wasn't there. I swear, Prairie, I'm thinking about next time I'm going to import somebody I know. I've had good house sitters and I've had bad ones. I had an excellent one in January that came in and did what I asked her to do and nothing more. This one messaged me one day and said she broke off a key in the lock of my door. Well, that's not optimal, but that's not the end of the world. She also messaged me and said that she lost her remote to the gate, which is more of a big deal because those run about $35 each, and then you have to pay the guys at the gate place to come out. It's about $100 to get them to key the remote into your gate locking mechanism. So that's like $135 repair there. So I wasn't happy with her. My husband and I talked and said, yeah, this will be the last time we have her ever have anything to do for us. She's a church lady, my husband knows, and then it gets weird. Then it gets really weird, okay? She's feeding my cats and watering my plants. That is it. I come home, and the gates part, and the yard is scalped, and there are piles of burning leaves and things. Burning leaves, and nobody here to watch them. So I was not happy seeing that. My entire living room furniture was moved around. My good leather rockers were outside in the rain. And I went and I could see she'd gone through stuff. She'd gone through stuff like crazy. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. My husband and I have a long conversation. He says, get over there and get the key back from her. Well, I'm hobbling and I'm not in a good shape, but yesterday I made sure, first thing I was over there going, may I have my key back? And oh, and she slept in my bed. She slept in my water bed. She would have had to have picked the lock to get in my bedroom, but she did. Not only that, she had my husband's keys with a gate remote, with the car keys, with keys to every door in this house. She had it. She's not supposed to have this. This was in his nightstand, in the nightstand drawer. She took this out of the nightstand. Yeah, and it gets way worse. So anyway, I show up yesterday and like, give me my keys back, please. And then I discover she has this, and I'm thinking, oh my God, we're going into crazy single white female Pacific Heights stalker action. So instead of chewing her out like I was dying to do, I just said, please give me my keys back. Thank you for house sitting for us. And I had a hard time getting the keys from her. She came up with excuses like, no, I can't give you these keys back because I might need to drive you to the doctor. Said, look, don't worry about that. I can drive myself to the doctor. I did it this morning. Well, what if you have an emergency and you need to go to the doctor, you need to go to the clinic in the middle of the night? I said, they have an ambulance. I've called them before. I've ridden in their ambulance. It's not a big deal. Well, I need to come clean your pool every day. No, you don't. I have a pool guy for that. So then it became, well, the gardeners are not finished with the work. I said, I didn't ask you to hire them. I actually have someone who does all my gardening for me. So you can't come in and gardening. Yeah, she sounded like, I started thinking single white female stalker action going on. And she's middle-aged and divorced, so something is going on there that I don't want to know about at this point. So we kept going around and round and round in circles over all these reasons why she didn't want to give up the husband's ring of keys. And I finally got them from her. It immediately had all the locks rekeyed. So I got around her. Something really funny happened on the plane that I have to tell you about too, because all I can say is if you fly and you fly a lot, do not ever be rude to the flight attendants, even if you think the flight attendants are being rude to you. I've just observed that never works out well for anybody, and it did not work out well on my second flight, my flight from Atlanta to Liberia. I had seat 1A booked all the way from BWI to Liberia, okay? I had to change planes. I had the same seat booked because I wanted to sit up front. I wanted to see what first class was like. And I hit a bargain, so I did it. And my husband was like saying, jealous, because neither one of us, we usually don't do that. We usually sit in the economy. Sometimes we sit in the seat right by the toilet. So here we are. I'm flying. I got on the plane first because I'm hobbling. And they had to stow my rollator, so I have to go on there first. Sat down. This couple came on. Now, I could tell by the way they're carrying themselves, they thought very highly of their own opinion. They told me I was sitting in their seat. And they told me that 1A was the aisle seat. I said, no, it is not. 1A is this window seat. I'm in my window seat. I'm sorry you can't understand the sign here that points out which seats are which, but you guys are middle and aisle. And this airline was a little weird. The first class was no better than business class than another airline. Yeah, those types are, you know what, a PITA. So they wouldn't drop it. They got the stewardess over, the flight attendant, and she looked at my ticket and their ticket, says, she's in the window seat, meaning me, and you guys are middle of an aisle. Well, that did not go over very well with the guy who had on his t-shirt with his fancy university on the front, or his wife dripping in designer wear. And I'm looking at them and wondering why they're acting like such waffles of the 20th persuasion while flying a budget airline. So they sat down and they immediately started complaining we were in the air. What was their complaint? I was too fat to be sitting next to them. Now, I am rather fluffy. I'm at the bottom of the fat lady sizes. I'm at the top of the regular sizes. I'm on that weird cusp, and I have been there many years. Sometimes I buy my stuff in regular sections. Sometimes I'll buy it in the plus sizes. So we're sitting in these wider seats, okay? And in a normal airline seat, I can fit in just fine. I can put on the belt. I have to pull it in because I'm not as fluffy as the belt is designed for. So in this seat, I really pulled in the belt. So that was a bunch of malarkey. So they kept begging the flight attendants to move me. And I didn't say a word the whole time. I was just sitting there smiling because it was just crazy. It was one of the craziest experiences I've had in a long time on an airplane. So they didn't move me, they moved them. They moved those two. And they moved them right behind me where they were sitting with someone else. And they were very upset by that. They were ran around their mouths. And the stewardess said, look, you could sit there or you could sit in your original seats. We don't really care, but you need to sit down and shut up. Did the air marshals come? No, but something as bad, if not worse, happened later. So I have 3 seats now, 3 larger than average seats to my disposal. So I took the most swanky and petty nap of all time, laying across those 3 seats, giggling, looking at them. So I came out way ahead because they acted like jerks. And then it gets better. Once we're at the airport, we're collecting our luggage, we're going through immigration, we're going through customs, all that nonsense. Well, I'm bleeding all over the place. I got to say that because I had various places. I was bleeding from my nose. Both my hands were bleeding. My knees were bleeding from the fall. And I just wanted to get the hell out of there. I washed off the blood and left. I should have been seen by the medics, I think, but I wasn't thinking straight. I wasn't being rational. So when I last saw this couple, they were at the very janky baggage inspection point, right there in customs. And the customs agents were pulling their suitcases apart, pulling them apart and chewing them out and telling them that they had overstayed their welcome. The last time they were in Costa Rica, they stayed for 6 months. And they were getting, I'm not going to say it was a deep cavity search, but I'm going to say it was unpleasant. It was highly unpleasant. And they were just arguing with the customs people, which you don't do that. If you're going through, if you're flying, don't argue with the flight attendants. Don't argue with customs. Don't argue with immigration. If you do, bad things will happen. Don't argue. I'm sure they argue with TSA. And they probably would have argued with the air marshals too. So I was just kind of like, later, because on the plane they had been talking about, well, we're going to go to Price Mart and buy steaks and do this, that, and the other thing. And we have this big house in Playa del Coco. So I just got a big laugh at it. That was the best thing ever that could have happened to them. You know what they say about beware or karma might strike? Karma definitely struck those people. It was actually comedy. So I'm very happy with my rollator purchase. I want to encourage you, if you're disabled, find a way that works for you to get around. Don't worry about what it looks like to anybody else. My rollator is turquoise blue. I got a cup holder. I've got a bag, a basket. I got a seat. So I am just golden. It is perfect for traveling. And today I've got to unpack my suitcases. Like I said yesterday, I was just shaking. And I was trying to get these, and I was trying to do in this crazy case. I have to have a real long talk with the husband about what we're going to do as this goes on, because this was pretty out there. And you love yours. I love mine. It's the best thing ever, because if you don't have it, you got to roll around the wheelchair. And I've had great people. I've also had very crappy people doing it. And it can make a large difference in how your trip goes. I decided in January when I flew down to Louisiana that I was getting one of these suckers, because United in Houston had the weirdest setup I've ever seen. You get rolled about, I don't know, a gate and dropped off. Somebody else would take you and roll you to the other corrals. These corral-like fit places that were set up for United had set up for their disabled customers. And people were missing their flights, and worse, because the people running the whole wheelchair concession and pushing were not on the ball. I actually got up and ran with my cane for my gate because I almost missed my flight. So I decided, enough of this noise. I am getting some way to get around when I'm in the airport. And it came in handy this time because I flew out of BWI. I had to be at the airport at 4 a.m. and their wheelchair concession does not open till much later than that. I was already on the plane leaving by the time their concession opened. So you gotta make those things happen. But I am seriously considering suing the airline. I've already filed my ADA accommodation complaint, and I'm not gonna drop it. This thing is, if they did it to me, you know damn good and well they've done it to others. And I've recovered quite a bit from my thalamic stroke, but the balance has not come back. I do better with it now than I did before. I no longer fall down in the shower. I don't usually fall down. I can go many months between getting unbalanced. And I fell down a lot on this trip. Just a stupid amount. I'm surprised my knees aren't screaming more than they already are. Yeah, I'm not going to drop it. I'm going to take it all the way as long as I can, because it's not right. And I'm going to contact the airline and insist on a refund because of that. Now, if they'll give me the refund on that, I don't know. I don't want a credit because I don't ever want to fly on that airline again. I found out later from talking to people at the Liberia airport that they don't have a gate there. They don't have gates. That they always come down on those rickety steps. And I would have never had booked the ticket. I would have grumbled and paid Delta the high price to fly into Liberia just to be on the safe side. The jetway is the best thing ever. You know, I've got this rollator now. I can go up and down the jetway easy. Like I said, I walked like crazy at the Atlanta airport and was so thrilled to be able to have the mobility to do that. Okay, you guys, I'm going to go. I don't want to stay on here too long, but I also wanted to say I've gotten a lot of pushback on the video I did last, which was showing the reality of what blanket training really looks like instead of the sweet thing that Michelle Duggar claims. And the crazy thing about the pushback I've gotten is that they're trying to say that I'm abusive and, just any number of just horrible, horrible things, including the Duggars aren't responsible for you being triggered, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I did that video as a favor to my dear friend, Cindy Kunzman, who is a wonderful person that runs a blog under much grace. she and I were talking about all the little things that were missed in the documentary Shiny Happy People and how to overcome some of that. We talked about actually doing demonstrations on the things that were discussed in the documentary but were not fleshed out, like blanket training. And I think we're going to continue doing that. But those people that are coming on there to call me abusive, look, you're going to be jerks for Jesus fodder. I'm not putting up with that nonsense any longer. You want that? You want to excuse what the Duggars did? Go to a Duggar channel. And I couldn't even use a doll or a stuffed animal to demonstrate. I had to use pillows because I wasn't about to beat a doll on camera. I just couldn't do it. I knew I would break down. I would have some big feels about it. And sure enough, I did have a lot of big feels about the whole thing. Okay, you guys. I will soon return to my usual content. I've got my fancy camera now. I'm about to mount it in my car and do a lot of driving videos showing you the splendor and the craziness that is Costa Rica, because we have some interesting things happen. While I was gone, they built a house across the street. They're building a house across the street. They're building houses on either side of us, and they're all 2 to 3 stories. They're all looking down over my wall, so we are going to have to extend our wall up some more, and I'm not real thrilled about that, but it is what it is, and that's life. We all go through it. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a wonderful day. Okay, and why is this now? Okay, if I can figure this out, because I am definitely not good at this crap. Okay. All right. And that is weird. Very weird. Very weird, very weird. I'm going to have to figure out how to... Oh, ding. Sure you want to start streaming? Yep, I am pretty sure.